Late at night, on isolated stretches of mountain highway, drivers occasionally experience a strange break in their routine. Signal drops, static fills the cabin, and an anomalous broadcast takes over. The voice speaking through the static is consistently clear and repeats a single sentence. If you can hear this, do not look outside. For decades, the witnesses to this event were long-haul truckers and night shift workers, people entirely alone, moving through the dark, whose equipment was hijacked by the signal. These localized accounts eventually pointed toward a specific origin point, an abandoned transmission tower in the forests of West Virginia, which officially ceased operations in 1977. Most dismissed the stories as another internet myth, but the consistency of the phrasing and the precise geographic clustering caught the attention of investigative journalist Ryan, who traveled to the mountains to track the signal to its source. Archival records indicate the facility, known as Station WXR-77, was built during the Cold War. The government's stated objective for the outpost was to monitor emergency broadcasts and high-altitude weather systems. That operation ended abruptly on November 14, 1977. Every employee working the night shift vanished simultaneously. 7 people disappeared, no bodies, no distress calls, and absolutely no signs of a struggle. Arriving 50 years later, Ryan faced a wall of classified, redacted documents. The local residents who remembered the incident refused to speak on the record, pointing only toward the restricted valley. Locating the station required navigating miles of dense, overgrown forest terrain far off the public trail system. Ryan had to breach a perimeter fence to finally reach the neglected structure. Ryan had arrived seeking answers to a 50-year-old appearance, but the moment he stepped through the front doors, the investigation shifted from a study of the past into an encounter with something very much present. The interior of WXR-77 sat entirely untouched. Coffee cups, paper, and heavy communication equipment remained exactly as they were left on the night of the disappearances. The building had been severed from the local grid decades ago, yet on a primary control console, a single red indicator light blinked in a slow, steady rhythm. Ryan set up camp directly outside the main doors to monitor for frequencies. At exactly 2:13 a.m., his battery-powered receiver activated entirely on its own, broadcasting the familiar warning, "If you can hear this, do not look outside." The woods surrounding him fell completely silent. Driven by a need for visual proof, Ryan unzipped the canvas door and looked out into hundreds of motionless humanoid shapes stood shoulder to shoulder among the trees. They made no sound and took steps forward. When illuminated by the flashlight, the figures instantly vanished from view. The warning, "Do not look," acted as a set of rules for an interaction Ryan didn't yet understand. By unzipping the tent, he had acknowledged the figures in the woods, and the broadcast immediately shifted from a generic loop to a direct response to his location. Retreating into the station by daylight, Ryan discovered a sealed concrete room hidden behind a false wall in the basement. Inside sat dozens of magnetic tape reels and audio logs of the WXR-77 crew. The interference isolated workers, mimicking dead relatives. On November 14th, a calm voice stated, "We can see you now." Shouting followed, then silence. These recordings suggest the functions as a psychological predator. It weaponizes the most intimate vulnerabilities of the listener, using human memory to pry open a doorway into the physical world. Ryan positioned his cameras and audio equipment inside the control room, locking the door behind him to record the phenomenon at its peak before 2:13 a.m. As the clock hit 2:13, the facility's system failed entirely. Every radio rack in the room activated at once, filling the dark space with hundreds of overlapping voices with his name. The cacophony of voices merged into one clear broadcast. It was Ryan's phone voice, speaking to him from the speakers, calmly telling him, "Ryan, don't turn around." Heavy footsteps echoed against the concrete floor. Dozens of synchronous breaths manifested directly behind his chair. Leaving his heavy equipment, Ryan bolted for the exit. As he ran, he glanced through the side window. Thousands of tightly packed figures surrounded the perimeter, standing completely still, watching the building. Station WXR-77 operated as a fragile dam holding back a massive physical incursion from the forest. By engaging directly with the signal in the control room, Ryan broke it. Ryan escaped the valley and compiled his evidence into a podcast. But by distributing the raw audio of the broadcast, he inadvertently embedded the anomalous signal into millions of digital devices. This map of the United States tracks the rapid expansion of the phenomenon. Listeners across the country began reporting their old radios activating on their own, accompanied by shadow figures appearing outside suburban bedroom windows. 2 months after the series aired, a package with no return address arrived at its home. It contained a single, pristine tape labeled November 14, 2077. The recording captured a news anchor speaking exactly 50 years in the future. He instructed citizens to remain indoors at night before his voice cracked as he confirmed a terrifying update. The entities were now visible in daylight. The warning from West Virginia relied entirely on human curiosity. Our drive to out, record, and broadcast the unknown provided the exact pathway the signal needed to turn a localized anomaly into an inescapable reality.